You want to be this complete boss and be really productive, but there's also this part of you that wants to laze around and be a bit of a bum. And sometimes being a bit of a bum is okay. I love being productive and I like getting things done, but at the same time I've really started to value being balanced during my day. I don't want my entire day to be committed to work and goals. So now I have 2 techniques that I use every day to make sure that I am balanced, and it means that I get to do all of the things that I want to do, all of the things that I should do, but it also means that I get to do all of the things that I shouldn't want to do but really want to do. Does that make sense?
They don't know that we know they know we know.
So the first thing that I do is split my day into 3 modes. This is similar to batching. So when you batch tasks together, it means that you can be more productive because when you switch between different tasks, that's when your workflow gets interrupted. Whereas when you're batching, it basically means that you can just deep dive into one task. So with modes, it's more about mindset. So I basically group different tasks together that I think has a similar mindset. And so the 3 modes that I split my day into are mindful mode, creative mode, and consumption mode. My first mode is mindful mode. This is the time of day where I slow down. I try to be more intentional and disconnect from the world so that I can connect to myself and get more clarity. I have a video on my morning routine that goes into this a bit more, but it's basically about tasks that don't drain me but uplift me in some way. It includes having my morning cup of tea to soothe my soul, journaling to navigate through the chatter in my mind, nourish my plants so that I can feel like I'm a plant person, when the reality is that I've been killing a few of my plants. My plants just hate me for some reason. I do yoga or any form of exercise to make sure that I've got some form of movement in my day. I make a healthy breakfast and I shower and do my skincare routine, all whilst listening to music. I also use this time to make authentic connection and call the people that I truly love to start my day off smiling. Everything is done with awareness and intention. It makes me feel human. After I shower and get ready, I switch into creator mode. This is my time that goes into doing something that goes out into the world. I either go into work, which is something I still think of creation as it's the service that I'm providing to others, or if I'm home, this is my time for creativity. I might spend it filming, editing, writing, scripting, or creating artwork. This is also the time of day where I build on ideas that I have for other projects that I hope to work on. It works well after mindful mode because after my morning routine, I always tend to feel quite inspired. I try to make sure that I don't consume any content during this time and stay in a creative workflow. If I'm not feeling particularly creative that day, then sometimes I'll go on a walk to increase my productivity and positivity. I feel like going outside and just getting that extra boost of oxygen gives my brain more fuel to think about things. By being disciplined and setting the same time of day every day to be creative, it shows that I'm prioritizing this in the same way that I would for any other commitment. Obviously, sometimes creative blocks do happen, and if it does, I just allow myself to do nothing for a while. My final mode is consumption mode, but when I say consumption, this is purely consumption that goes towards my own growth and inspiration. So it's the time of day where I catch up on YouTube videos. It's the time of day where I have productive Zoom calls. It's a time of day that I go through Twitter to reply to tweets, communicate with people, and also to get ideas. I go onto Clubhouse, which is a new social media app that I've been really enjoying lately. I read articles during this time, and I also read fiction and non-fiction books. It's also the time of day that I like to set aside to learn things. I'm someone who always likes to learn new things, new skills, or new things that I can be doing with my time. So it's consumption of content, but it's very intentional, and it's something that helps me long term in some way. So those are my 3 modes, and then the second technique that I use is a buckle list. So the whole idea behind this is that I get to buckle under the temptations to do random shit in order to buckle down on the things that I really want to do and really need to do. So as you go through the day, inevitably there's things that you get distracted by. You might get an email that you want to reply to. You might come across something that you want to buy. You might see a YouTube video that you really want to watch. Or you might just get reminded of something that you really urgently need to do, like buy someone a birthday card. And so you might be like me where you get distracted really easily and you have multiple tabs open in your browser that have nothing to do with what you're doing, or you've just got various different to-dos that you think of later on in the day. So instead of giving into these things straight away, I basically created a Notion page called the buckle list, and during the day, whenever any of these things come up, I just add it to that list. So it means that when I'm working or doing anything else, I keep that tab open and I'm constantly adding to it during the day. Anytime that I come across a link that I get distracted by, or just even a random task that I need to do, I'll add it to that list. And I try to separate that list into things that are completely random and things that are to do with consumption. So for anything that's related to consumption mode, I consume that content during that time period. But for anything that's more meaningless, like online shopping or random articles that I want to read, I consume that type of content during my buckle hour. This is basically my 1 hour a day where I'm an absolute bum. I watch whatever I want on Netflix, I scroll mindlessly if I want to, and I browse the internet like there's no tomorrow. So the reason that this works for me is by adding all of those links to my Notion page during the day, when it comes to the buckle hour, I tend to not want to go on them. I'd much rather spend my time during that hour curled up on the sofa with a cup of tea watching Netflix. And that just means I end up being way more intentional with my time. We can't be productive 100% of the time, but the buckle list just means that I can be unproductive without feeling guilty about it. And it also means that I spend the majority of my time doing things that are meaningful and intentional. So that's the structure that I use for my day to make sure that I'm productive without being obsessed with it, and it means that I just get to have time to myself that I genuinely enjoy. Obviously this does vary to some degree, and especially if I'm making plans to go out, but right now in the UK it's locked down, so this is how I'm trying to approach my days. Comment down below if you have any ways that you structure your days to stay balanced and productive, and stay intentional and go create some magic.